Well, we have a very special class today. It is not really according to our previous plans. It is, in fact, a temporary, or rather very spontaneous class that I added on based on a video of Ponso Rinpoche back in 1993. I really encourage all of you to study this teaching given by Ponso Rinpoche and watch this video. So today I'd like to then give some teaching based on that, some of my thoughts, my feelings, and to share my experiences with you. Some of you probably are not yet Buddhists. Some of you are probably just simply feeling interested about today's topic. And today we in fact added Korean translation, simultaneous translation in fact. So we use different ways to try to have a glimpse of what Ponso Rinpoche taught back then. And before the actual talk, I really hope that you can receive Siddhi based on Ponso Rinpoche's Guru Yoga and through the blessings of Ponso Rinpoche. Are we going to have the oral transmission of aspiration of Samadhi? Yes? Okay. So I'll give you the oral transmission first. I think in our announcement, I said that I'm going to give the Samadhi aspiration to good actions, as well as Jumipa Rinpoche's praise of Kshitigarbha, Bodhisattva, and summoning of the spirit of abundance. In fact, we chant the Samadhi aspiration every single day over here, and I've encouraged you to make the same aspiration. Therefore, I'll give you the oral transmission today. And before that, today, in fact, I'm going to give you the Guru Yoga oral transmission as well. The Guru Yoga oral transmission. In fact, I hope by this I'll receive the blessings of Ponso Rinpoche. So I'll give you the Guru Yoga and the oral transmission.
Lamadan karam nyam bipsen lam to bar sam jiblon di churking on them nyam berjala te da not laming or te din sholum lanji ber shaw ji ra shon chudum ber shang pho da dum bi da tri bi chen yer nga di zi gong zhong ma ye wang xu zhi gong zhong dan zhen jam zo rang dang so zo yong la pan bi she dan dan da ji zhe go ji gu mam za ba te ma de ru dong jam bi rang zha zuo me de sha ra ren ke zhen zhi bi wang xu zhong long tu jiam zu long tu jiam zu zhi long tu jiam zu yi ge wa xi de gong lu zhong zong me ka yan jia chen qi ri zhi zhu ne zhi ba wo dia ge ga da ri ba zha za ya ba zha dana ranza wo ge de mo ban jiao zhong ba ba zong bo zhe be mo lam ji jie wan jiao zhong ji la zhong za lu jin ji dong shou jin ji de na din zhe wo me yi san ge gong dong ma li de dong zam zhen li dong dong jiao jiao zong bo zhe be mo lam dong jia ra tam ji ji mo zhen de zheng ge de min li ra bu de ba yi jia ra ge na ra du shong de de chi dong na de ni san ji ji wen na ji de da ju ji an ma li ba dam ji jia ra da ge mo de dong ma mo zhen jam zo na jiang lu jam zo zhe ge ni jia ra ge ji yong de ra zhe zhang de sha ba tam ji dong 매동 담담 장화 담바다 선년 남동 시바담 조도 말민 조도 들보 담바다 열하대 돌라는 주 버리 남자다 말남다 좀 조도 제마 파마를 년바도 고베체 버는 부분 조건 열하대 돌라는 주 초바강 남남의 제지와대 더 열하 담질라요 뭐 전부 저 더비도 더그 열거나 정도 주변도 제제 너도 뭐 리당하다 되제 저도 받아 이게 받은 집 앞에 도던지다 부수들 저 열거나 전제 제전제 남들도 말로 당조와 근지 좀 더 근지 지수도 그럼 좀 지는 좀 남자들은 벌써 맞아님 고무관도 탐지는 콜로나는 그걸 그럼 양다도 감지 대단한 조금 거 그러진 것들이 주변에다가 다른 소리를 정들어도 좀 잡아다 지지 이런 거는 소나 얘기가 좀 더 줘서 봐도 탐지도 기준 주죠 뭐 내부선이 나도 좀지 내가 그런 좀 가마신데 도남녀라 삼조 전조는 벌써 선전 전조 제가는 좀 진입받아도 되지 용서도 버는데 전주장으로 좀 여러도 선지지라도 거를 좀 선지거는 진입받아도 또 듣는 데는 저런 좋아 건지 저는 만나버 계절에 와는 벌써 전주와도 동지는 좋아 건 근들이야 잠버지 들어 건는 저걸 지어나 또도 don어랍도 좋은 여러 건지 지수로 없지도 정부 주바 용서도 주던 좀 줘봐 좀 해도 벌써도 많이 좀 줘서 할까 나 너도 좀더 아메리카는 좋아 건지 좀 주는 받음 저거 다 같이 디정 바로 전화랍던데 전선 나 지만저도 바가는 저건 저라 되나 용수 정을 저래도 모두 질르는 조선 지는 좋아 남생아 저도 뭐 지면 저가 열나 남가도 매들어 저 강거전도 저도 바로 와서 동어랍도 저 되어서 내가 당한 좋아 근거는 좋아 담질라는 밤을 저전 주방에서도 지었습니다. 저도 담을 좀 정보 줘봐 donora rabdun jama karo kando jo baran jera do jodum dum joba da te da don to don do jo li da don nemji joba don mo ci do dans la pamber do bi joba na don bo joba rab do ma na te da don to dum joba jo te do ko na yam yam san ji ji gurum gumo na mo zo do do jera do ma karo kando mer jo te do na am joba je jera nam ji da mi jo joba kando don bo joba na mer jo ma karo kando mer 주바담제된 코로나 존음이 지도는 무슨 답다 제로 당전 돈더다 용도 근지 무슨 도도 제로 뜻이나는 데니 전음 대장들 좀 미미 산지는 산지 지고 나지 봐. 전 주바 전전 타वर 여 데르던 말이 담지 조선야 찾음 전에 되는 산지 산지염 전에 점서도 거를 점서 쇼전랍든지 송신 양력 점서 저긴 여러 근지 용도 랍지전 조아 근라 조아 근지 산바 지전 산지 송라 도든지 버죠 되든지 Shukbir gyara tamche dang korun zan rabda korayi te dagang zon mazi na lo topji dang rabdan ji maung kara tamche jikbaran kachi chigi jana dang kachi chigi jana kachi chigi dang jikbaran ye kang kara te hum satay dagar kachi chachi jina jikbaran teksan shakba meyi sangi kang te tak kachi jilab dang kada dang te tak kana shir la jimar jirban namdar dang jik kang te hum 대도 들칠 돈 남은 거 대들 많이 돈 조선 jarada 좀 그만 그 아마존 좀 많아 좀 말도 좀 냥데 바라도 좀 돈 거 먹으니 돈도 좀 그는 좀 돈도 그는 거의 도배도 근데 연도 좀 근데 도 그는 게 손도 돈 잡으면 맨지로 이제도 싫었던 좀더 그 장주 돈도 저버지 돈도 연수 돈지 장이 뭐 돈도 그는 저버지 또 메라지 좀 슈퍼 돈도 저버지 좀 점수 넘버 더 준 점수 돈 넘버 준 점수라도 또 버지 20 점수라도 또 버지 점수 넘버 또 뭐는 점수공도 또 버지 상 점수라도 현재 가를 점수를 좀 강대에서 잡을 자라이 전좀 슈비 전주 산지네 되게 더그만 조버지 자라게 이제 또 바꾼 거 먹는 건도 좀 개발되던 좀 슈비 저렇게 연도 좀 탐지라던 거 리더 좀 슈바던 뭐 좀 개발전자 된다도 좀 버죠 그러니까 좀 슈비 저런 자우지는 뭐 마음 가로 건도 말이죠 어디 저 말이 좀 버죠 슈바던 첫 먼저 연도 남자 좀 버죠 슈바 좀 발언내네 저 좀 좀 대단 제가 담진 자를 저런 남고다 여러 좀 말씀 좀 많이 다한 데도 좀 내다니 못 하지로 딱 그런 다한 데도 못 쳤죠. 저저 강제 강저지전은 다이 바른지 견디 여러 나랑 바라다도 매 됨 조금 전 생각 더니 거라 परवावे 그거 뭐 여러분도 돈이 좀 저걸 지서라 뭐지 나스다다 버팀 손은 담빔 촉든 된저로 그거 좀 뭐는 담바네 뒤는 완성 담들 보는 줄 뒤는 좁은 bar 보면 나한테 됨 대도 니 바라냐 되는 소 메신저랑 대도 그러고 근도 정보 대한 전화 근도 정보 대한 전화 대도랑 보면 또 대전 참여가 보도 그렇게 반남 건강시 원고 시바도 대정부 수반도 저 남녀도 말이 용서 시험을 이 시당도自动점 그렇게 카드로 남다다 말이죠. 또 남을 담은 번에 일단 숨보거나 저 그런 여러 전 정어로 여러도 손에 전제 받을 때 현재 삼진 골로라도 거르던 데도 집아 담지 더러 강성부 주변 모는데 장화다는 또 놓나요. 대 넘버만 봐 선님죠. 전 초라 솜님 없이 작으로 하고 있을 때 말아. 그 정보 되는 되지. 또 근지도 개한도 담자랍도 뭐 대선서 버려라 담지 홍화가 남자도 그 바데 더 개선 안 장보 주저랍도 홍어를 저던 저듯이 저러나 주 담지 담지. 뭐 선동한 다 이든 통에 대화전 지정들 합던 대선에는 뭐 넘도 그 담지 많이 뭐 여러 대다가 말이 덕가 용수건 지든 저쪽도 샘슨 판벌지 이제 지금 장장가들 법모담 신담들이 이제 나온다 이제 용좀도 놓던 바야다가들도 내는 덕가 놓더라도 저만 보시오 저제 루이스도 기쇼저 남자야 선전 나라 판반 몽부르 zambu 슈퍼먼 돈바이게 정수다 기초소바 딘조르먼 게와 나마 같이 지기 담지든 조르버 쇼 감정부 슈퍼먼 베 감정부 슈반도 베 손음 다이 담바강도 조르동 조장하고 호메 변내로도 버죠 모놈 겨론도 좀 조금 좀 다인 조아 간나 판지장 근도 정부 gembe 종 완송내는 말이 좀 버죠 바바 zambu 슈퍼먼 지겨버 조소 제거지 캄본 게나마자 당 스르린자 보드 당 로자 반디 이시 대소 유저장 로자 로친 베로 자니 지친 잡바고 사 디장자
Praise of the Kushiti Garba? Why?
什么？从这上来。통子上让3년 또 바사지 남지기는 지소 소 사이냥 본조건 지선전 40전도 넘버 남마 용들다 사슴을 공예전 놀이 츠르 삽지 왕식 졸라 점츠르도 산이 산전 예리 살랑고 삽지 삽지들 쓰르면 로또 진베르장 산더 남망 저르의 용강과 사이 함적 졸라 점츠르로 원장 박선 상당 조던 좀 우들스 춤조 집진 근기죠 점바텔라 화들롱네바 특제도는 졸라 점츠르도 람정 집지결이 용던 좀 남감조 제임가도 교치버 제체서 제임다 예장남스 여름자밤 다도 종란들 봄에 용던 놀이고 저지 닝밀그 밤 다도 흑단들 녀펀속 대지 화티 문토버 랍침 춘림 자밥 점저로 또도 자호라 장양지 때 왕시 근도상 마밤 라소 제체다 제체 생화음 초 남모 거름 초정 소르답레 교식 일 점점배 렌도 남 일정 소르라 개프람 파지스 제리 어바 제체 도음조 여러 남당 예미 교토베 달라 춘도 화르남 라 소름 조도 사금 좋은데 다피르토니 장 사이왕식 제지 진즈 지선전은 삽주도 화름 페르 사스탄 데베켜 사르니 사르조 삼중 저버를 쇼 지츠즈 잡아 자시 제 자시 제지 장스 좀반도 무슨 잡을 디비 메스타 점다 고르세 니르단 라코 파겔롬 페르 사이냐오 지지 득제동 잡아모는 견제니 베들 라메 시점저 전자 된자 코너로 다소 언저를 쇼这也同得上呀。两个他整个不去小姐习俗，对方在个街上啦，这样整个。这阵的这个不累人呐，我说做路他就做工作什么的，人把他啥子中面上的员工不同，同不同，年得不进不进，年得个大陆大洋年得个咱不咱样年得个这个这样年得个盘不盘样年得个开不开样年得个怎比怎样年得个，这比这样年得个这样年得个，这比这样年得个，咱样年得个，花样年得个，这比这样。지금 제안내들 그 덤빔 태양내들 그 저래 남길 차양 그 삼돈 저거 차양 그 노금 배로 차양 그 제랑 나면 차양 그 나도 년종 차양 그 자식 김선 차양 그 로스님 차양 그 점소동님 차양 그 쪽지원님 차양 하양 준준 대신 대 로양 점소 미래래 모양 맞아 댐세 댐 니마전도 쫄로 다전도 가라 가속전도 섬 람세 람 나원 전도 톱센도 초롱전도 떠르 张之真的是了，可以，好样个说，何以，好样的说，喝啦，好样吃说，吃一样做美的，好样个我们这就了，花儿的那份特色的。찬더라 마트라 양더고라 마님지 환더산더 마이르지 라바 양베르 시그간 왕즈 양베르 지이간 첨라 양베르 메이간 지친 지지 점수 이제 양천 노르지 러고原来我们那个
In Larungar, in the monastery, we had many monastics who didn't really have a very good materialistic providing. Therefore, Phuntsog Rinpoche then asked the monastics to chant the summoning of abundance. So we had this then Dharma assembly there. In fact, this is not just a summoning for the wealth of materialistic wealth, it's also including the 7 jewels of noble ones. That's it, right? Otherwise, we don't really have time for a class, but I have to then continue to chant for the oral transmissions. So I've given you a few oral transmissions. There's the aspiration to the good actions and praise of Krishiti Garba and the summoning to the spirit of abundance, the hook of divine substance. Also, the first one I chanted was the Phuntsog Rinpoche's Guru Yoga. So those were the oral transmissions you received today. Today, I am giving you a class on the teachings given by Phuntsog Rinpoche. The original condition or the cause of giving this teaching was that when Phuntsog Rinpoche went to the West for the first time, and he gave this teaching in the West, and it is a video from then. So I've made it available before class. Also, you have the opportunity to watch it after this class within 7 days. And for those of you who don't really have the opportunity to then watch this video, then I think that you can study through reading the texts. Why do we study this? Because by this winter, Phuntsog Rinpoche will be, it will be the 16th year of Parinirvana, or since Phuntsog Rinpoche passed away. In fact, 98% of our audience, in fact, they are here because they are here because of Phuntsog Rinpoche's compassion and because of his magnetizing power. Even if those of you who are listening to this class, even if you do not feel that you're not connected to this lineage, but you are here because of the compassion of Phuntsog Rinpoche. So, the compassion from a great bodhisattva, or making such connection to such bodhisattva, is of great benefit to you. Some of you probably have met Ponsok Rinpoche before, probably met him in person, studied from him in person, or only heard of the voice of him, heard of the name of Ponsok Rinpoche. But other than that, they feel nothing. And for this group of people who've never really met Ponsok Rinpoche, who doesn't really have any feelings towards Ponsok Rinpoche, I would say that there are in fact many ways to emerge or make connection to such great bodhisattvas. In fact, I think watching the video, watching the images from the video, it could be even a better way of creating such connection to the Guru. Many people would say, how? Because Ponsok Rinpoche has already passed away for many years, and it's just an image. How can I make a better connection to him through this image? In fact, throughout history, there are so many great masters who've made great connections to one another through other means other than seeing them or studying from them in person. Such as Ponsok Rinpoche had a great faith in Mipa Rinpoche. Just to give you an example, I was translating some of Ponsok Rinpoche's teaching. He said that sometimes I feel really saddened because my root guru as well as Mipa Rinpoche, they all passed away. They are nowhere to be found in this world. But on the other hand, I do feel really happy and content because I wouldn't dream of them 5-6 times within a month. And I receive genuine blessings from them. And from such teaching like that, I think we can see how Ponsok Rinpoche have deep devotion towards Mipa Rinpoche as well as the Toka Rinpoche. And throughout the biography of Ponsok Rinpoche, he stated that there are so many incidences in his dream he received blessings from Ponsok Rinpoche directly. But Ponsok Rinpoche passed away back in 1912, and Ponsok Rinpoche Mipa Rinpoche passed away in 1912, and Ponsok Rinpoche was born in 1933. If by solely supplicating with great devotion, you can receive blessings from the great bodhisattvas in the dream, then you can see how important it is to then have supplication, to pray. Similarly, Jigme Limpa, who supplicated to Longchenpa and received blessings from him in his dream, and they have 300 years apart. So, for those of you who have deep devotion towards Ponsok Rinpoche and to develop genuine faith towards Ponsok Rinpoche, even through the means of video, then you will receive genuine blessings from him. In our dreams, the blessings probably is not as vivid as video. And the video teaching, you'll be able to see how very detailed and very clear Ponsok Rinpoche is moving around. You can see how Ponsok Rinpoche would then look at to watch when the interpreter is interpreting, and sometimes he would scratch his head, and sometimes I also remember that Ponsok Rinpoche didn't have the microphone on him. He was not aware of the microphone was hiding in the drawer, and afterwards, halfway through the teaching, he realized the microphone was in the drawer, but he's been speaking out loud. It's in the drawer, right? The microphone? Cabinet? drawer or cabinet, the microphone was hiding there. All of those detailed manifestations, you'll be able to see the appearances, the face, the action, the speech. You see that very vividly. You receive such vivid blessings. Even for those of you who've never met him in person. There are people who said that, oh, I've dreamed of Ponso Rinpoche, I feel really happy. But in dream and the video, in some level, the video is more vivid than the dream. And if you have blessing, if you have devotion, you'll be able to receive the strong siddhi or blessings from Ponso Rinpoche. I think I've told the story that when we went to Colorado, in one of the center over there, he then watched a video from he watched a video of an empowerment given by the second Dudrum Rinpoche. And then he prepared all the things and watched the video of the Avalokiteshvara empowerment from second Dudrum Rinpoche. He said that he really wanted to meet second Dudrum Rinpoche in person, and similarly, second Dudrum Rinpoche really wanted to meet Ponso Rinpoche in person, but they never really had the opportunity. However, through the teaching, through the video, he felt that all the he followed the whole procedure of empowerment by chanting and by then following the whole process and recitation of the empowerment. Of course, I can't give you a certain answer saying that Ponso Rinpoche received the empowerment, but at least he received the genuine blessing. And this kind of genuine blessing, I think, is really important for those of you who've never met Ponso Rinpoche in person in this lifetime. And for all of you who are Buddhists, who are non-Buddhists, I really think you should cherish this opportunity to watch this video and make such a connection. There were a series of videos. We saved some of the audios and the videotapes, but the quality is rather very limited, very poor, because we brought some of the equipment back then. However, in the West, in United States, in Canada, in France, all of their equipments were better, similarly as the equipment in Malaysia, in Singapore. In all of those centers, they've saved lots of the video recordings back then, and because of their better equipment, the quality was better. So I think through this way, by playing this video, I really hope that you can receive more blessings and more wisdom. Otherwise, I think for many people who've never really met Ponso Rinpoche, who've never heard the voice or never heard the teaching from Ponso Rinpoche directly, then it feels that maybe for those of you, it's very difficult for you to give genuine devotion, to give rise to genuine devotion. And then maybe you would feel that lots of the teachers who have who are still in this world, and for those of you who have great devotion towards them, that's great. But from my perspective, I think for those of you who have the opportunity to supplicate to such great teacher, to supplicate to such great bodhisattva, it is
所以说呢，
really
我想
important
只要
and
有信
precious.
心的话呢，即使
And if you
上
don't
市已
do
经离
so,
开了
then it
这
would be
时代
such a
但通
pity,
过
such
这
a
个
loss.
音频的或者是私
When
聘的
teachers
这样的一
arrive,
种音
then
源
it
的话
is
呢，在你
great
的
that
相
you
续呢，
listen
就
to
是一
them
定会是
in the
改变
person, in
啊。我
person.
们有些
But
经常
when
说的
they're
啊，
no
因为
longer
我蒙
abiding
的
in
这
this
个
world,
光顺着
then
我蒙
watch the
的那个
video
三
is
家半
also a
的
great way
我
of
蒙的这
receiving
个全真
blessings.
不碰人逻辑
You can say
因为
that I
这个原
dreamt
因呢，
of
就是我的
Miparmchi,
这
I
个
dreamt of
相
Lone
续当中
Chenpa.
的菩提心呢，
And
从
because
自己
of
会自然
that,
而然就是
the,
增长
my
也有这样的这种说法吧。
my
那我们
devotion
通
and
过一
my
个上市的
bodhicitta
这个断
have
片，通过一个
then
上市的这样的一
elevated
个
or
视
have
频的话
then
呢，也许
increased.
我们
Then
很
that's
多人
also
呢，
really
确
great.
确实实是在
But
相续当中
through
就是让
watching
身体
such
这个无
video
谓的菩提心也
of
好，
great
对三宝
master
的
like
这个
him,
不共的这种信心呢，
maybe
就是诱导
you
这个
will
身
be
心来
able
了。
to give
如果我们
rise
不
to
具足信心的
even
话呢，
firm
我想
trust
即
and
使在上师
devotion.
身边就是带多少年的
If
话
you
呢，
have
也
great
许那
devotion,
造一种
then
恶言
you'll
一
be
晚
able
呢，就是
to
不一定就是改
have
变自己
better
的新的相续啊。
you'll
就
be
像
able
我
to
们
have
当年
better
这个
understanding,
经
have
常
a
所说
better
的，比如
blessing.
说这个提婆达
But
多也
if
好，
you
三
don't
清比
have
丘也好，
devotion,
在师尊面
there
真的
are
是带了这
people
么长
who
时间，
serve
但
the
是呢，
teacher
就
for
是
many
没有
years
改变
in
的。
a close
而有
distance,
些时候的话呢，
such as
即使这个像佛陀一
Devadatta,
般的，就
who
是
then
真正的
was
三至圣
around
面
the
前呢，
Buddha
时间再
for
长也
many,
好，
many years,
佛子所
and
自
yet
己学的
he
法再
did
多，
not
发心的时间
have
再
the
怎么样
right
的话
view.
呢，实际上有时候我们的这个自相续没有改变的话呢，
Doesn't matter
也
how
许
long
可
you
能是
stay close to a lama.
真正见到这个佛陀呢，就是也不一定有利的。见到
If
菩萨也
your
不一定有
mind
利
does
见
not
到
change,
真正的这
even
个
if
善
you
知识的
meet
话呢，也
a
不一定
genuine
是有
teacher
利
in
的。
person,
所以说呢，我们每个
I'm
人的
not
这
sure
个因缘
how
是不
much
可思议的，
of
因
a
缘
help
呢
it would
确实
be.
是不相容的。如果
Everyone's
有了这么
connection is
好的
very
一种
different.
因缘的
If
话
you've
呢，那我
already
想
have
我
such
们
auspicious
这个上
connection,
师如意宝呢，就是它，即使你没有见到的话呢，就是通
even
过
you've
啊，就
never
是
met
这次呢，
Ponsokro
就是
Rinpoche
这
in
样的一个
person,
视频的话
at
呢，
least
就是也许
through
就是
this
非
video,
常这个有理的啊，就是应该能
you should be
能
able
得
to
到这个
receive the
真实的这个
genuine, true
怎么讲，
benefit.
就是利益的，得到利益。然后我们就是说，这个上师呢，实际上是离开了我们以后的话
After the
呢，
passing
实际
of the
上我们
Guru,
应该这个，他的这种正法
his Dharma
有必要
teaching
呢，就是
is really
受记
valuable,
有必要呢就是戒记。
and
有必要
it is
戒记
extremely
为什么这么
important to
讲呢？
compile his
比如说我
teaching.
们已经皈依了这个法门的
Why
话
is
呢，
that?
从那个时候
Because
开
at the
始呢，
moment
应该
that
是
we
对这
took
个
we
法
took
门这个
refuge
传承呢，就是有责任的。我
from
经常在
this
想，
particular
比如说我们实践
lineage,
当
then
中
we
的话呢，
are
一个国王
responsible
就是他
of
建立
continue
了这
this
个一个
legacy.
国家，然后
Why
建
is
立一个
that?
国家，就是
Because
过了
when
这
a
个很多
king,
年以后呢，
after
这
he
个国
built
王
the
国王呢
country,
就是离开了这个人间。
after the king
荷兰
passed
呢，就是
away,
这个国家的这个人呢，就是比
then
较
the
多。
citizens
那么
of this country
那个时候的这个
may be
国家里面呢，就是
flourishing.
有很多这个新来的一些不同国籍
And
的人，
then
最后呢，就是他们
this
都已经
after
加入了
this
这个国
country
籍。
is
当他
really
加入这个国
prosperous,
籍的
there
时
are
候，当他加
different
入这
people
个
coming
国籍的
from
那一
different
天开
countries.
始的话呢，
And
那么他
at
就
that
变成了这个
time,
国家。
when
那变成这个
the
国家
people
的话呢，
coming
那么
from
这个国
different
家的
countries,
这个
they
不管是
are drawing
非
the
物这个也好，文化也
drawing
好，
this
传统也
nationality,
好，他的
then
这个权
the
利、义务等等，
heritage
都是对他而言
of
的话呢，就是
culture,
是应
of
该有责任
material,
要
of
继续这个
all
传
of
承
the
下去
aspect
啊
of
有传
this
承下去。
particular
你不能说是
nation,
我虽
then
然
the
就是加入了这
citizens
个国籍，我的这个
have
国籍呢已经
responsibility
加
to
入了这个，
protect
但是
all
我呢
of this
就
inheritance
是跟这个国 家
from
就是
this
没有任
country.
何关系，
You
我
cannot
不
say
会这么
that
做
I've joined the
不会这么做。
nationality, but
同样的
I
道理，
have
我
nothing to do
以
with
前
this
是不管
country.
是学
You
什
can
么
say
这个
that,
宗教
isn't
也
it?
好，没有任何信仰也好，一旦我
You probably
就
never
皈依
had
了
any
这个法门
faith. You
或者
probably
说是
converted from a
我
different
已经
faith.
加入了这个佛教的这个团体的话
But after
那
you
么
join
与你有
Buddhism,
缘的就是这个上师的这
then
个传
the
承呢，是
teachings
从那个时候开
from
始，
this particular guru, then you have the responsibility to continuously to propagate, to protect, and to inherit all of the wealth that's left by the king who built the country, or by the Dharma master.
然后我们这些人呢，连见都没有见过，那这样的话呢，我们觉得有什么责任？
For those of you, there are people who said that, well, you've met Ponso Rinpoche, therefore you are responsible, but I've never met him. How am I responsible? You can't say that, because let's think about Shakyamuni Buddha. After 12 years of passing into parinirvana, there was the first compilation of his teaching, and then after 80 years, there was the second compilation of his teaching. After 300 or 1200 years, there are different ways of saying it anyways, but that was the third compilation. So the Pali teaching, then the Sanskrit teaching, and then all the different Tripitakas were then compiled together. Therefore, out of different connections that we have, it is important for us to inherit the teachings from this lineage. I think lots of people are really confused. They're confused about what lineage they follow. They don't know what great masters they have throughout the lineage. They don't know what kind of great activities, great bodhisattva activities, as well as propagation of the Dharma they've done. You probably never really witnessed those in person, but you are in the protection of them when you're studying in this lineage. Therefore, you should actively to protect the lineage, to then inherit the lineage, to continue to propagate the legacy of the lineage. In such a way, you'll be able to receive the uncommon blessings from the lineage as well. If you feel nothing about this lineage, if you don't feel any devotion towards the lineage, if you only see all the masters from this lineage as some professors from universities, and just as a professor who passed away in a university, the students may not feel saddened, they may not really feel quite important to inherit the teaching, and they probably only even feel that, what does it have to do with me? This is then a wrong method to follow than the ones to follow in Buddhism. To give you an example, in the East, many monasteries, some shudras or Buddhist academies, they then attach great importance to their gurus, to their lineages. Even after hundreds of years of passing of their lineage masters, they will continuously to host parinirvana ceremonies for their lineage masters. And in the West, there are some really wonderful ways of commemorating their gurus as well. A few years ago, I got to know that Trungpa Rinpoche, on his 25th parinirvana, his disciples started this great project, and the project is called the 25 Projects or 25 Wishes of 25th anniversary, and they then invest about $10 million into protecting the Dharma teachings and his legacy, including his Dharma teachings, videos, audios, and his speech given in different institutions and schools and universities. They will all compile that all together, including On top of that, there are movies as well as stories of disciples encountering them, encountering Jugum Trungpa Rinpoche in person, to preserve the objects that he used in his life. And some of the live photographs as well as videos and audios were all collected. It is not like that. It is not like that when the disciples would take the photo of the Guru or take some videos of the Guru, and then later, when the Guru passed away, all of those videos and audios became a personal property. It's not like that at all. They all contributed together to make the legacy more vivid. So, to our Lama or old Heshang or monk or the teacher, when they pass away, do not just celebrate by host some kind of parinirvana ceremony to offer flowers, offer lamps, and offer some food offerings, and that's it. On one hand, yes, it's very simple. But on the other level, I think it is not protecting the multiculturalism in humanity. It is not protecting the spiritual wealth in humanity. I think we should use different methods to commemorate our teachers, to commemorate the teachings. Although this video clip of teaching is really short, but it has some very unusual characteristics. When I first received this video, I was really happy. I know that Phuntsok Rinpoche had lots of videos especially in the West. He's given the empowerment of wrathful Pamasambhava as well as the Mahaati perfection, great perfection, or there are some dirty Trollo practices and so on. Phuntsok Rinpoche passed away for over a decade. For those of you who've never met Phuntsok Rinpoche, by watching this video, does this video change the devotion in your mind? I really hope by watching this video, which is the open talk rather than those of the videos I just talked about are the Vajrayana or the secret teachings. But this one, it also gives the Pith instruction, and it's a hard advice from Phuntsok Rinpoche. For those of you, if you can have unwavering devotion in the three jewels, then you are a successful Buddhist. If you can receive such Pith instruction from Phuntsok Rinpoche, then listening to this teaching is really meaningful and valuable. Therefore, I think that's why it's really important to listen to this teaching. You can also think about it for yourself. If you were the one to give teaching in the West, to give a speech, and there's someone translating for you, how would you feel? Because at that time, Phuntsok Rinpoche didn't really prepare, didn't really spend the time to prepare before the class. In fact, this is not his habit. And he just started to articulate so well in that class. It sounds very simple. It talks about the three jewels. But the logic is immaculate. He was really eloquent, and the teaching was so profound. So I hope all of you take this opportunity to study this teaching because it has the inner, outer, and secret Pith instructions within. I'll just share a bit of my memory. I'll give you the introduction of how Pontsogor Rinpoche then traveled to the West. At first, he departed from Chengdu in 1993 on June the 15th. He then flew from Chengdu he flew to Guangzhou, and from Guangzhou to Hong Kong, then to Hong Kong to Tokyo, Japan, and then to Hawaii. And then he went to the center called Nichung. Over there was a Tibetan Buddhist temple. There was an old Lama. Last few years he was still there. He actually collected the Tibetan boots of Pontsogor Rinpoche, and that old Lama kept that boots for many years, but last few days he passed away in his hometown. Last few years he wanted to invite me to go back to Hawaii again. I said sure, but it didn't really happen due to different reasons. He was very sweet to us. Memory that I want to share with you is that back at that time, it was not of a time that we can call other people at the time. At that time, there was the beginning model of the cellular phone, which is as big as a brick. And I had to call the Serta Conti from his cellular phone. I said, "Can I please use it?" And he was happily to help. And when I was using it, another Khenpo came to me. He was very happy, saying that this is extremely expensive. Don't use it. In fact, the old Lama was very compassionate. He said, no, it's okay. It's not going to be that expensive. Just call and report that you're safe, and it's fine. Anyhow, I'm not going to expand too much on that story. We then went to San Francisco, and then Colorado, and then Oregon, and then Washington, D.C., and then New York, and then to Boston, and then to Canada, to Halifax. In fact, lots of the teachings given in those places before Canada were not really recorded except in Canada. Can you see that properly? The red line is not so viewable, isn't it? Anyhow, after we arrived in Canada, Canada is really beautiful. Last few years, I really wanted to go. The people over there in Canada were really nice. You can see that in the video, when Pontsogor Rinpoche said, "Now all of you are Buddhists now," and the people started laughing. I think there are two reasons behind why people were laughing. On one hand, I think they laughed because in Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche's center, you have to then apply for taking refuge vow in advance. But on that day, Pontsogor Rinpoche was very skillful. He then gave the refuge vow right away, and people felt that, oh, it's so simple, I'm a Buddhist. On top of that, there are Westerners in their Western tradition. Maybe some of the way of taking refuge vow would be different. Therefore, people were laughing. Ponso Rinpoche, he himself also said, he said out of all the places that he went to, in fact, Canada is the most beautiful. At that time, we were really happy.
不过那些加拿大的人呢，有时候还是他们的心性非常大。我看到当时那个长保仁波切，他就是画的什么这个红啊。
I also noticed that the Canadians, they had lots of devotion. The signs that's made by Trungpa Rinpoche were still very much available and were very much present in the center. Some of the seed syllables were present in the centers.
但有些弟子的话呢，就是因为那个时候崇宝仁波切已经这个实现愿景了嘛，他们就是去就看他的字。
People would fold their hands even by looking at the seed syllables written by Trungpa Rinpoche.
确实当时很多
I was really moved by their devotion.
跟我们现在就是
People without devotion, of course, they feel that what's to fold your hands about in front of a word, in front of a letter home. Or there's the ashe that is very simple, but those kind of seed syllables were framed, which look very simple. But the disciples would fold their hands and pay reverence to those letters as well. So the teaching was given in that center. At the beginning, I was listening to the lecture, but later on, I went out to take photographs, and I was a little late, and I was packing, and lots of things were happening. And then we flew to France from Canada, and then from Paris we flew to Montpellier, and then we went back to Paris, and then flew to Hong Kong, from Hong Kong to Taiwan, from Taiwan back to Hong Kong again, and from Hong Kong directly flew back to Chengdu. And on the day of arrival, it was September 14th. It was over 3 months when we arrived back to Larongar. The places that we went to, I in fact then transcribed it and written it down in words in short, as a short record. So back in 1993, that was the first time that Ponso Rinpoche went to the West. It was also the last time to United States and Canada. But the influence and the blessings is completely different than us, who probably went there many times or been there for many times. The blessings and the influence that he left behind is completely unfathomable. So I think it's quite important to constantly, with devotion, to wholeheartedly supplicate and wholeheartedly to watch this teaching on video. Jamgon Kongtrul Rinpoche, in his supplication to the Guru, he said that you have to have this uncommon and very genuine longing to the teacher. When you have such calling to the teacher from afar, then you'll be able to receive the uncommon blessings. On the other hand, you may feel that there's so many videos. There are the MOOC teachings from different universities, and so many people who are very articulate. The professors and the speakers are very articulate. They can give hundreds of classes, hundreds of videos that's available online. Yes, from the academics' point of view, this teaching given by Ponso Rinpoche is probably no more than those teachings. And in the past few days, Wow, the cell phone from Yushu County is very loud. What was I talking about? I also got some feedback from the people who watched this video. There are people who received the blessing from Ponso Rinpoche, and I really hope that more and more people, after studying, you receive such blessings and such transformation. So simply over here, I'll give you some summary in my simple language. Before at the beginning of the teaching, Ponso Rinpoche talked about the favorable conditions, such as being reborn in the southern continent, to have the well-favored human body, to have the auspicious connections, especially encountering the good teacher. I think now we've already received all of these favorable conditions. The second part, Ponso Rinpoche then talked about the three faiths that derived from having devotion towards the three jewels. Over here, the devotion of attraction or faith due to attraction, and then faith or eager faith to follow the Dharma, and then the confident faith. Those are quite different than the way we usually talk about. Ponso Rinpoche talked about to have the faith of a joyous attraction towards the Buddha, and have the faith to eagerly study and following the Dharma teachings. And the third one talks about confident faith towards the Sangha. This is very unusual. I've never heard of this kind of teaching from anywhere. Through Sandri Khandro's translation, she also translated the first one as a faith derived from attraction and joy. By simply looking at the image of the Buddha, you should have this attraction towards the Buddha and joyous mind towards the Buddha. And then Ponso Rinpoche talked about the compassion and wisdom, as well as his power of the Buddha. Because in the West, the audience really like compassion. Therefore, Ponso Rinpoche in the video, he elaborated more in the compassion aspect, such as the love and sympathy and equanimity, and how Buddha treated and helped sentient beings even during causal stage and so on. And in terms of power, we often feel that we really want to benefit sentient beings, yet we don't have such power to benefit them. We would feel that I'm so eagerly wanting to benefit the sentient beings. I'm in a rush, I'm in a hurry, so much in a hurry to benefit sentient beings. But if you don't have the power that Buddha possessed, then it doesn't matter how much you're in rush, it doesn't matter. It won't help. And then in terms of that, then Ponso Rinpoche talked about the body, mind, and speech. The body of the Buddha, of course, he's got all the marks and characteristics. Also, Ponso Rinpoche talked about the image of the image of the Buddha, which is beneficial by simply looking at it, that is unsurpassable by the mundane people. The second one talks about the disciple follow the teaching of the Buddha and continue to propagate the teaching of the Buddha so that sentient beings will be able to continuously to benefit from the teaching of the Buddha. And to the sentient beings who do not understand the language, such as animals, even if you listen, even those animals listen to the drum sound or the sound of conch, of propagation of the Dharma, then they will be able to receive the blessings and be able to liberate in a short period of time. And then the power, that was the power of speech, and then the power of mind is that the mind could then manifest as well as manifest in both form and formless ways to benefit sentient beings. That's the power of mind. And in terms of Dharma, it was the Dharma of not harming sentient beings, the four Dharmas of Shramana, where Pongsu Rinpoche talked about do not harm, do not abandon one's own path, and do not disturb others' mind. I think you all know the Shramanas, the four Dharmas, don't you? The teaching of benefiting all sentient beings is only taught in the Buddha Dharma. And for people who follow such mind of not benefiting and of not harming others, yet only benefiting all sentient beings, then if a family practices it, the family will be happy, and the society practices it, the society would receive happiness, and the country's practices it, the country would be able to receive such happiness, and if the whole world practice such teaching, the whole world will be happy. So if only one person practices it, the one person will be able to receive such happiness. Therefore, in the translation of Sanghya Khandro, she translated it as that eagerness to follow the teaching, because this is the Dharma that could lead sentient beings to happiness. I didn't really have time to watch it. I only read the words when I was then going through. When I was going through the scripts, today I had the whole day meeting with electricity as well as the electricity poles and all the equipment. Now I'm only thinking about those kind of terminologies. So right now I'm not remembering lots of the sceneries from that moment. So the last one talk about the faith of confidence. The faith of confidence talk about the benefiting self, which is practiced by the Hinayana practitioners and the Hinayana practitioners and the Mahayana practitioners, which practice the Dharma of benefiting others, as well as Mantrayana practitioners who use skillful means to practice to benefit others. So to take faith, confidence in the Sangha, who do not deceive others, who have only the mind to benefit others, they are the ones who are the refuge place. Of course, are the ones. Over here, the Sangha refers to the ones who do not have a malicious mind. So it talks about the faith, the faith, pure faith. The second one talks about the eager faith. The third one talks about the confident faith. Nowadays, what's lacked the most in this society is faith and confidence. But in the Sangha, they are the place of refuge, especially the place of refuge for confident faith. So therefore, Ponsog Rinpoche then asked, do you like the three jewels by this point? If you do, then raise your hand, I'll give you refuge vow. So there are people who then wanted to take refuge vow, therefore I'll give you the refuge vow. For those of you who want to take it, then you can take refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, and take refuge to Ponsog Rinpoche. And I will here recite the refuge vow 3 times. Repeat after me. Now you're Buddhists. After you receive the refuge vow, there are so many merits, such as longevity, such as not disturbed by maras, and such as in lifetimes you will not be departed from the clarity and light and luminosity of the three jewels. After you take refuge in the Buddha, you do not then take refuge in any other gods. Second, after you take refuge in the Dharma, you do not listen to the heterodox path. You do not follow the heterodox path. And after taking refuge in the Sangha, then you do not follow the heterodox practitioners, and then you'll also be able to receive the merits of wealth, the spiritual wealth, because the wealth that you would receive is more and surpass the material wealth that is accumulated by the Rockefeller family. And he then said that I'm now using the honest and direct language and give my teaching. In fact, Ponsog Rinpoche at that time, he went to the West for the first time. He gave this logical teaching, talk about the three refuge, and talk about compassion. In fact, at that time, the organizer requested him to talk about compassion and wisdom, but Ponsog Rinpoche said that I am using my language to give you more profound teaching on the wisdom and compassion, as well as the wisdom compassion of the Buddha. I really feel that this kind of teaching given by Ponsog Rinpoche for people who are really wise, you can then adapt a similar kind of train of thinking or way of speaking, just like Ponsog Rinpoche, with or without interpreter beside you, you'll be able to then give a better speech. And you can contemplate whether if you can give such teaching. You can contemplate whether you'll be able to do a better job, or even something similar to match up with Ponsog Rinpoche without any preparation, but just on the spot, spontaneously. Also, for Buddhists, you should then contemplate, do I have such faith? Do I have such kind of faith that I have this very simple attraction and joyous mind when I look at the Buddha? Do I have this eagerness to follow the path of the teaching of the Buddha Dharma? And do I have the full confidence and such faith towards the Sangha? Many people who've probably taken refuge vow for many, many years but
等等，这
really
样的话
look
呢，我
into
也
your heart and
希望呢，
mind.
我
Do
们
you
这
have
个各
such
个地方
understanding
啊，
and
就
such
是也
faith
是要
towards
求
the
大家
three
这样的，也
jewels?
是我的一个
This
希
is
望，
my
也
wish,
是一个愿祈吧。
and
就是
this
你们
is
啊，这
an
通过这个
auspicious
上市的这个视频呢，
arising
啊，就是
today
光做弘扬的话呢，也许你的这个
to
弘法利生的
hope
事业呢，
that
也是
you
非常
can
这个
then
有不共的这个缘起。我们现在也是
start
依靠这个不同
your
的，虽然
practice
这个
and
文字
start
比
the
较短，但是
connection
这也是今年是一个
to
依靠缘起
Ponsongo
吧。就是
Rinpoche.
现在好像有大概有
I think now we have 14 languages translated from this video. Hopefully, by the end of the year, we'll have more languages, including the 5 continents, the languages and countries from 5 continents. So maybe we, as the disciple of Ponsongo Rinpoche, I myself have received lots of teachings from Ponsongo Rinpoche.
每一个人呢，就是通过直接或者是间接，就是得过这个法王的这样的法。那这样的话
Therefore,
呢，
every one
我
of
看
us
我们
who've
就是
received
怎
a
么样
teaching
就
from
是
Ponsongo
来提升
Rinpoche,
就是他的
one
这
way
个
or
智慧
another,
啊，就是
we
让
should
这
try
样
to
的这个
inherit
智慧
the
的话呢，就是让更
wisdom
多的人，就是让
passed
他们
down
来去
from
了解。
Ponsongo
这
Rinpoche
样的话，
and
确实是
propagate
依靠这
such
个文殊菩萨的
wisdom
加
to
持，
people
依靠这个传承上人们的加持，
with the
依
blessings
靠呢
from
就是
Manjushri,
比较这个
blessings
特殊
from
的
the
这样的
lineage
因缘，
masters,
以我的信心
and
和一种
through
法尔
the
的这种价值吧，也许可能
thusness
我们
from
在
the
这个世界
blessings
上
of
呢，就是
thusness
还
and
是
blessings
有
of
很多的这种这个
auspicious
不可思议的
arising.
因缘哈，就是这是就是跟简单的中介就是法王
I
的这
give
个
this
前
teaching
面的这个教育
and
啊。
hope that all of you will be
也
able
顺
to
便呢，就是
then
提一下这
propagate
个
such
以
teaching,
后呢，
and maybe it
就
will
是
be
法王
an
如宝的
auspicious
这个
coincidence for you or
这个发
auspicious
药
arising
就是
for
怎么
your
样继
Dharma
承的
teaching
话呢，我
career.
也希望就是相关的这个传承弟子们呢，就是都要这个
The
思
lineage
考，就
disciples,
是
I
要
really
值
hope
得
that
就是研究
you
或者是
can
去
then
去思考。
contemplate, to think,
像我们这边的
to
很多这
reflect
个对资料的这种保存啊，
in
对这
terms
个
of
废
the
废物质，也就是说是
non-materialistic
一种
inheritance,
可以说是一种财富吧，
the
就是对这个
spiritual
遗产
wealth,
就是一般西方
the
和有些地方的话呢，
inheritage.
所谓的遗产的话呢，就是还
In the
是
West,
带有
when we
那
talk
种这
about
个也是这个
inheritance,
物质方面的遗产，也有一些精
there
神方
are
面
the
的，就
inheritance
是
of
可以说是文化遗产。
spiritual
我们
wealth
真的一
as
提
well
起
as
遗产的话呢，
materialistic
他
wealth.
的房子啊，他的车啊，他的什么钱啊，
But in the
这些遗
East,
产
we,
怎么分呢？
when we
就
talk
可
about
能很多人都这么想的。
inheritance, we
但实
only
际上
talk about
真正的这
some
个上圣
cars
们的
and
这种遗
house
产
and
的话呢，
bank
就是可能
accounts.
要
However,
留
towards
到
the
这个很
Buddhists,
长时间呢。
I
我那天
really
去
think
那
it's
个
quite
青岛的时
important
候呢，就是其实
to
当时
think
这个
about
发
the
现
spiritual
在从这个
heritage.
青岛崂山这边就是登陆的
I
话呢，
went
他们
to
现在还是做
Qingdao
了一些
and
这方面的这个纪念馆，
saw
但
where
是呢
Master Fa Xian
就
landed
是
back
也
to
得
Qingdao
到了部分的也一些纪
around
念品，但
Laoshan
是呢，
area.
其实
I
也
think
可
in
能
Qingdao
需要
nowadays
更
they
多的。
are
所以
currently
我们可
building
能作为
something
传
to
承弟子
remark
的话
that
呢，
part
就是
of
对
the
这个
history.
上世的这个智慧，
Similarly,
上世
I
的这
hope
种现象
for
永远
Buddhists
不会淹没
who
在这个实践当中的话呢，就是应
want to
该有
make a
必要
contribution
有几个方面
to
来思考。
maintain
第一
the
个呢，就是可能
teaching
是
of your
在这个
guru
网
and
络
your
上啊，就是
teachers,
网络上的话
then
呢，
it
就
is
是要
quite
特别的，就
important
是比如
to
说这个法王如意宝的这个各
invest
种
in
不同的一
ways
些这
such
个
as
它
in
的这个
the
影片也
on
好
the
视频也
website,
好照片也好，
the
就是这些方面呢，
pictures,
就是
videos, and
要
audios
有
should
一
be
种这个
then
现在就是科技化
kept,
的
should be
方式来就是开
digitized.
始这个保存，就是这个也是很有必
This
要
is
的。
quite
然后
important,
呢，
very
就
necessary.
是
The
关于他的
second
一
one
些
is
演讲
that the
啊，就是
teachings,
著作这些的
the
话呢，就是通过不
written
同的这个语言啊，
teachings
就翻成不同的语言，
should
也
be
有
then
很多的版本
translated,
都可以的。
and
啊，就是
many
就像
different
我们
versions
一个金
should
刚经的话呢，就是有
should be
6、7种不同的
quite
版本。
necessary,
一个
such
维摩
as
诘经的话呢，有不同的汉文的
the
版本也
Diamond
有。
Sutra has
那么我
many
们
different
上世
versions
这
of
个
translation,
的
similarly
这种
as
这个包括
same
他的
as
这个
Vimalakirti
著作
Sutra.
也好，或者说
So
是他的一
Ponsongo
些
Rinpoche's
教言的话
teachings,
呢，我们应该就是有必要，就
I
是世界上的
think
各种不同的这个语言，就是文字
it
来
is
这
quite
个
necessary to
就是
translate
开始这个
those
出版
Dharma
啊，就是
teachings
还有呢
into
就
many
是翻
different
译啊，
languages
这
and
些也是有
translate
必要
them
的。
into
然后第
different
三个方面
versions.
的话呢，
And the
就
third
是
one
法
is
王那
that
个生前
Ponsongo
就是
Rinpoche
用过的，就是
and
哪怕
Ponsongo
是
Rinpoche,
哪
the
怕是一个碗
materialistic
呐，就是
or
或
the
者是一个
material
金
or
属器啊，
things
一个
that
佛像
he
啊，
used
这
while
些
he was
只要是
alive, even a bowl, even a mala, even some things that he used. There are people who are selling those, saying that, oh, this is used by Pontsog Rinpoche, therefore I am then auctioning it. Some may be the things that was used by Pontsog Rinpoche, and some may not. So I think it's quite important to keep the material of Pontsog Rinpoche. In Germany, Italy, they're doing a wonderful job of keeping their heritage of the famous people. Even after hundreds of years, the books and even their rooms were kept in the same way. So I think the libraries and the museums, you should then keep different separate rooms or have separate exhibition halls for the things that Pontsog Rinpoche used before. The fourth aspect is to categorize as well as to then keep all of the things in order. In the West, it is quite easy to find videos and audios of the teacher's teachings. When you go to the West, you'll be able to find the teachings of different teachers, famous or not. You'll be able to find the videos, audios, and pictures from them in the Western centers. But in the East, it seems that we don't have such a mentality. Now it seems that we don't really care about the pictures and audios and videos, but after hundreds of years, then these are the precious wealth that you can be kept for the next generation. Maybe by then, the gold, silver, crystal, those are no longer valuable. But the teaching, the videos, the recording of the teaching would be the most important and most precious. When the teacher is alive, famous or not, the disciples do not attach great importance to the teaching, to keeping record of the teaching, keeping the record of the teacher. But after the teacher passed away, you may then feel regret that you never really kept the record. So the fourth one is keeping record. The fifth one is that in different on different dates, such as after Pontsog Rinpoche passed for so-and-so years, I'm currently translating a booklet that was then compiled by a group of volunteers over here. I'm currently translating that. So I hope on some special days, on the Parinirvana Day or some special days, you can then study and chant all these teachings together, to study it together. I think Larungar is a significant place to commemorate Pontsog Rinpoche, because after years of passing, the Sangha are still studying, contemplating, and practicing over here in Larungar. So this is the blessings of Pontsog Rinpoche, and something that we can commemorate him about. That is then the spiritual wealth that we can commemorate him. These are just some of my thoughts. In the West and in the East, many of us, we remember our teachers, but what can we do in our actions? What can we do to propagate to then start a project systematically to propagate and to keep the heritage of Pontsuk Rinpoche, to continue his legacy. The Parinirvana Day celebration is then celebrated in India, in Larangar. Especially in Larangar, it is a big ceremony. But we should not be content only by a ceremony. We should then use different ways to commemorate him, so that his teaching would touch more people's heart. This is something that we should all contemplate. Use different technology, use other different skillful means. That's something that everyone should contemplate about. Some people don't have the ability to open up or brainstorm, open up their way of thinking. There are people who don't have ability to participate in activity. But what I think is that for those of you who call yourself as disciples of Pontsuk Rinpoche, it is quite important to do something to continue his legacy. I myself think that Pontsuk Rinpoche, in fact, has such great blessings, just as Lirab Limpa, whomsoever once hear his name will be able to then dispel the obstacles. Of course, such kind of blessings are not recognized by other people, but by people from our own lineage. Then you should then at least have some kind of insights. I myself, whenever I walk down and up the hill to go back home, I would supplicate to Pontsuk Rinpoche and recite this verse in my heart, going back home or coming down to the shrine hall, in the airplane, in the train, in the car, anytime, whenever I have time. Whenever I don't have other chantings, I would then chant this one wholeheartedly. This is written by Pontsuk Rinpoche, where it says that by the blessings of Manjushri. So for those of you who want to receive the blessings, the wisdom and compassion from Pontsuk Rinpoche, you have to do something about it. And that is to supplicate genuinely and one-heartedly. So whenever you're watching this video, do not view it as some ordinary video, but view it as that you are looking at Pontsuk Rinpoche in your pure vision, your sacred outlook. Not only that you're seeing him, you're seeing his appearance, you're actually receiving the teaching and genuine blessing from him. So next time when you talk about it, you're not looking or listening to Pontsuk Rinpoche's teaching in the video. You're in fact receiving the teaching from the sacred outlook. Not only that you receive such teaching from your sacred outlook and from your insights, from your realization, you translated it into different language. And once you have such faith, the blessing will be very different.